What you're watching right now isn't just another headline. It's a breaking, game-changing confrontation between a sitting president and state leaders over the use of federal troops on American soil. President Donald Trump has directed the National Guard to Portland, Oregon, claiming the move is necessary to protect ICE facilities under what he calls a hotbed of insurrection. Oregon officials are calling it something very different. An unprecedented, shocking abuse of executive power that threatens the foundation of federalism itself. At the center of this fight is Oregon Attorney General Dan Rayfield. In an exclusive move, his office filed a lawsuit and a temporary restraining order within hours of receiving formal federal orders. This is not a typical legal challenge. It's a preemptive strike meant to block troops before they even deploy. Rayfield says the president is exceeding his authority, federalizing the National Guard without the conditions required under U.S. law. He frames it bluntly: "This is America, not a battlefield, and the U.S. military does not belong in American cities except under the most extreme circumstances." Trump's justification rests on claims of violence around Portland ICE facilities, claims he promotes on social media, not from local data. Oregon officials point out that recent weeks have seen more activity around nightlife venues than around federal buildings. Portland Police, Oregon State Police, and the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office all say they have the situation under control. They argue federalizing the National Guard will not improve public safety. Instead, it risks normalizing military force in domestic disputes. This is not the first time Trump has sent troops into U.S. cities. From Los Angeles to Washington, D.C., the strategy has become part of a pattern. In each case, he frames the action as a response to crime or immigration protests. But polls tell a different story. Just 42% of Americans support sending troops into cities like Portland. A majority, 58% overall and 64% of independents, oppose it. The last time Trump deployed the National Guard to a Western city, his approval rating dropped 4 points, and his immigration rating, once his strongest issue, fell 7 points. That's not just a dip. It's a clear political backlash. ICE itself has also seen its public standing decline. During Trump's first term, ICE's net popularity was at 0. Today, it's at -4 points, ranking near the bottom of all federal agencies surveyed by Pew Research. Trump is betting that being hawkish on crime and immigration is still a winning issue. The data suggests otherwise. The Oregon lawsuit goes beyond statistics. It signals a direct legal confrontation over presidential power. Rayfield says the president has already attacked the judiciary, undermined the press, and now is normalizing the U.S. military in American neighborhoods. By filing in court within 6 hours of receiving orders, Oregon is drawing a line in the sand. In his words, this is about protecting democratic norms before they erode under the weight of political stunts. Democratic leaders in other states are watching closely. In Illinois, Congressman Brad Schneider says ICE raids and threats of troop deployments are not keeping communities safer, but terrorizing them. Governors from multiple states, including California, have already rejected federalized Guard deployments. This is building into a national showdown, not just over policy, but over the president's willingness to bypass state and local governments for political gain. Trump's defenders frame Portland as a test case for restoring order. His critics call it manufactured chaos. By labeling protests domestic terrorism and framing cities as under siege, the president justifies expanding executive power far beyond traditional limits. Once the precedent is set, no city is safe from becoming a stage for the next federal deployment: Chicago, Los Angeles, New York, Philadelphia. The stakes are not theoretical. The numbers also undercut the narrative. Portland, like any city, has crime. But local leaders note that violent crime has decreased and that existing law enforcement partnerships are working. They have invited the president to visit and see for himself rather than relying on social media videos. A growing online movement in Oregon uses satire to highlight how normal daily life actually is, contrasting sharply with Trump's rhetoric. This fight is about more than one city. It is about whether a president can repeatedly deploy troops inside the United States to score political points. It's about whether military force becomes a tool of domestic optics instead of national security. And it's about whether voters recognize the difference between actual public safety and political theater. History shows that once soldiers are on the streets of American cities, the line between democracy and authoritarianism begins to blur. Trump is not crossing that line out of necessity. He's crossing it to create a crisis he can appear to solve. Polls show Americans don't support it. The legal challenges show states won't quietly accept it. All eyes are now on the federal courts. The next 48 hours will decide whether Oregon can block this deployment before troops arrive and whether other states follow suit. This story is moving fast. The legal, political, and public reaction could reshape the way executive power is used for decades. If Oregon succeeds, it may deter future presidents from federalizing the National Guard for political purposes. If it fails, it sets a new precedent, one where the military can be used to settle partisan fights on American streets. You're not going to get this kind of in-depth context anywhere else. That's why it's crucial to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you don't miss the next update. Comment below with your thoughts on this unprecedented clash between state and federal power. This is one of those moments that could reshape the future of U.S. politics, and you'll want to stay ahead of it here.